Tonight, Mitch McConnell issued a press release. Guess what he talked about? Crushing the virus? No. Crushing the lobster? No. Crushing the hairstyle? No. Crushing the garlic. Crushing the garlic. No, he didn't crush the garlic either. So what did he issue a press release about? Oh, about the Supreme Court nominee. Yeah, so apparently he's going to have the vote for the Supreme Court nominee tomorrow. And at the end of tomorrow, the Senate will be closed. Yeah. It's been open so long, the Senate, like 7 days. That's a really long time to get a stimulus bill open. So he opened the door for like a week to introduce his bill, and then it's going to be shut close. It's just like, can we use the clapper? Clap on is open the Senate door, clap off. It's needless to say, don't expect the Mitch McConnell to pass you a stimulus bill next week. But no, if he falls on the floor, just have a go. Clap on, clap off, Nancy Pelosi. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm here, you're here, and there's no electrical power. There's literally no power here in Southern California once again. But the virtues of recording is that I'm battery operated. So, not me. I'm not battery operated. I'm actually a real person. I'm not. I'm not LALATE. I'm not a robot. Just that I robot person that records those videos. There is apparently a stimulus robot channel, but that's a whole other thing. So I really appreciate you for tuning in, and this will certainly be a different recording because ultimately it may eventually air like 12 years from now when the power is restored. But in the meantime, I really appreciate you for tuning in. Go to the Founders channel, subscribe because who else figures out how to record in the middle of a power outage except me? And who's ensuring that you get a stimulus update in the middle of the night in case Nancy Pelosi actually wakes up and say, I think they need stimulus relief. Maybe we should do it. Also, like this video. In this video, I have absolutely no idea what I'll be going over because I have no script on set because, the printer's down. There's no power outage. But needless to say, I researched what I was going to do before I was going to record. I just don't have it on set. So I'm going off of memory, which actually I have a better one of than I think most members of Congress combined. All right, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here tonight is that Mitch McConnell actually issued a series of press releases in the last 24 or 48 hours. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 if you looked at them. And what's really fascinating about them is that none of them talk about just stimulus checks. All of them talk about Judge Barrett and her nomination and her vote tomorrow. And at that point, the Senate will be closed. By all accounts, the Senate will be closed on a Monday, and it presumably is tomorrow. And then the senators will leave because they've done so much work for you. I don't think they've done the lobster bill, but they were going to get to that, I think, before your stimulus. So they're gone. Now, Nancy Pelosi, if you look at her press release website, where what is on that? She's on MSNBC at 6 o'clock in the morning on one show, and then MSNBC at 5 o'clock on another show, and MSNBC on another show. She literally is making appearances on every MSNBC show available. You think she wants a talk show job? I think she does it too. Needless to say, the same hairstyle in every talk show appearance that she made. The wonderful thing about Nancy Pelosi is that she really loves herself so much that she issues a transcript of every press appearance that she has. So you can see and enjoy all the crap she has to spell out in a given press release. And so if you look at the most recent one, which was from Friday night, she actually, said what she expected her to say. She was asked a question by Craig Melaninin, I guess his name is. I just, I can't keep track of all these newbies. And he was asking her a question about stimulus, and she basically gave like a 5-page answer that talked about science and stimulus. And basically, when you went through it, you realize I got no more information than I ever had before from her. As you sit here today, ironically, on a Saturday evening, in preparing for tonight's recording, no comments by Mnuchin today. No comments by by Chief of Staff, by the Chief of Staff. No comments by Larry Kudlow. No comments by Pete Navarro. No comments by Trump. Although Trump and Pence did have a publicity, not a publicity, a campaign stop today, and then no comments by Pelosi. So literally, all the people who never do anything for your stimulus are really not doing anything now, and they're actually no longer trying to act like they're trying to do something. I think that they may have heard about that CNN article, which I detailed yesterday, which said basically these are a bunch of people who have been telling you how much work they've done and that they've done much of nothing. And so what I want to do tonight in this recording is continue what I did on the check video. And I certainly saw it. And there's it's hard looking at yourself in a recording, and always, I look at the hair, I look at the angle. But ultimately, the delivery was different. You can clearly tell in my delivery in that video. And the reason why I ramped up, and I was concerned that I was too ramped up, but apparently it was fine for you, was that I want you to understand that these people are not driving your truck. You're driving the truck. It's your highway, not their highway, your way, not their way, and that ultimately you're driving the truck. And that over the next few days, a lot of things are going to happen. But what we as a group and a family and a bunch of people that really adore each other need to do is focus on how much stimulus, when we get the stimulus, where is the stimulus coming from, and how it's coming to us. And what's important to understand is that we need to distract ourselves from negativity. There are some people who would drop into the comments, I don't see anything until after the election. Okay, that's fine. The election's only about 7, 8, 10 days away. So what then do you see, negative person? What do you see then? And that's what I've been preparing all of us for, is that ultimately, at this point, there is no path to getting legislatively stimulus relief before election night unless some miracle occurs. And there can be a miracle, but there is no path that way. There is path by executive orders, and there is path by executive orders down to the very night before election night. Ultimately, people do vote in the voting booths, even in the middle of a pandemic, even with mail-in voting, even with early voting, even with 28 or 38 million people having voted in the United States, people will still vote on the final election day. And Trump needs to understand that a stimulus executive order is needed, and that rolling into the polls, having done much of nothing, is too risky for him. There are two types of ways in which Trump could address these executive orders. I've never gone over this until right now. There's the more aggressive way, there's the more passive way, and then there's the super protective way, the super conservative way to do it. The super conservative way to do it is say, I don't need another executive order. I have one for LWA. I found some additional money for LWA. Let me send out some additional money for LWA. That's actually a very, very simple thing for him to do. He already has an executive order to do enhanced unemployment benefits. It's called LWA, not FPUC. He doesn't need to write a new one. The way he funded it last time was he picked up the phone, he called FEMA and said, you know what, I found some money at FEMA. You're going to have the states apply to you for enhanced unemployment benefits. And FEMA's like, well, this is for fire and rescue and for tornadoes. No, I'm telling you, it's now going to be for unemployment assistance. Okay. And that's what they did. And no one challenged it, and no one really could challenge it now because it's been too long to challenge. It's been several months. It's been waived. So as we sit here today, then what could he do with that? He could call up Jovita Carranza and say, Jovita, no, this is Jovita LALATE. You're the wrong number. Jovita. Imagine if he called me up and I had Blaine 666 on the phone. I'm like, no, let me put you on hold before I get Jovita LALATE on the phone. I'm ready. He calls up Jovita Carranza and says, hey, Jovita, you got $800 billion? Yeah, I got $850 billion. How you doing, Donald? We're going to use some of that money. No, don't use my money, Donald. Yeah, we're going to use some of your money. We're going to set it out for enhanced unemployment benefits. Oh, okay. Does that make me more special and more desirable? Yes, it does, Jovita. Okay, then let's do it. And then she just does it. She just has, again, she says, hi, I have money. I'm just like FEMA. I have money. States come and comply with it and get the money. Now, that's the conservative way to do it. He doesn't even have to write an executive order. He just calls up Javier Carranza tomorrow and says, let's just do something. I need to win this election, and Biden's just pouncing me in the polls. Says, okay, I will do that. Now, the more aggressive way to do it is to actually write an executive order. Write an executive order that says, hey, let's send out some stimulus. Let's send out some stimulus. Now, ironically, even before he gets to that path, he could do other things with his existing executive orders. This president has, I've never said this before to you until right now. This is why you stay with me. This is why you tune in at the 10-minute mark, presuming you don't have power outages as well. There are ways that he can use existing executive orders to send out stimulus checks. And I've never done this to now, probably because it didn't dawn on me until right now. He has an executive order out there for rent assistance. And it's supposed to be an executive order for rent assistance, but he can compound that by saying, you know what? If you're having problems with rent assistance, I'm going to send out a stimulus check for you so you can use it for rent. And what I'm going to do is piggyback on that existing executive order. If this sounds a little strange, this is what he's done before. He has an existing executive order that was written out months ago that was supposed to be an eviction moratorium. It wasn't. It didn't say much of anything. In fact, it didn't say much of anything. It talked about an inability to pay your rent, which ironically is generally a common theme for people who need stimulus checks. They are having problems paying their rent. And so he did that. He wrote that order. It was bad because it didn't write what it's supposed to say. It omitted some language. It did not create an eviction moratorium. But then what he did was he cleaned it up by calling up CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, which has nothing to do about rent, nothing to do about evictions, and said, you know what, you're going to be doing an eviction moratorium. Why are we doing one? Where's CDC? Because I say so. Oh, okay. And you're going to be processing and telling people how an eviction moratorium is done. Okay. He can do the same for a stimulus check for people who need that check for rent. He can call up Javier Carranza and say, you know what, I have an existing order for rent, for people who can't make rent. And I want you to do the following. I want you to announce that you're going to be the person who's going to send out a stimulus check to people who can't make rent. So if they have applied to the CDC or done the CDC order for eviction rent, and they also need a stimulus check, I'm going to send out a stimulus check to them. This is another way he could do it. In some cases, and I know you're about to drop in the comments, I don't pay the rent, someone else pays the rent, or I don't have to pay the rent. Sometimes these orders simply say you can't make your debts, you're having problems making your bills, which may include rent, send out a stimulus check. That's how inventive this president has been. It's questionable why this president is no longer inventive, why this president is so cautious and not doing what he needs to do. This is the 11th hour. He needs to do something. Joseph Biden is hitting back with stuff that he wants to do. He issued a proclamation overnight that talked about, it was this morning, that talked about what he wants to do with masks, what he wants to do with crushing the virus. He is proposing a big plan and a big program to deal with crushing the virus. That's a plan, a man with a plan. Whether you like the plan or not, it's a plan. Ultimately, this president doesn't have a plan for your second stimulus package come the day after election. His plan is to blame Nancy Pelosi. That may not work. And so as you sit here tonight, push, Purple Power, you see how I try to keep things very clear and concise for you. We know where the money is, $850 billion. We know where it's located. It's at SBA. We know the list of executive orders the president has already issued. One for unemployment, one for rent, one for mortgage, one for student loan debt, by the way, as well. You could do one for student loan debt as well. And so he can go through this and say, you know what, I'm just going to call up Javier and say, okay, I already have this existing order. You're going to send out the money, or someone is going to apply to you to get the money, and we're going to send, and people are going to get this money based upon my executive order that has been sitting in the books since, I think it was August. And there you go. It's so simple. People always say, and I'm like, why aren't you there helping the president? It's so simple. Then people say, he's so Republican. I'm not Republican and I'm not Democratic. I'm purple, except when this power outage. So that, maybe I'm green at the moment with the power outage. I'm here to get you money. And the way you get money is sometimes you're inventive. And he was inventive in sending out the money. It's time for him to be inventive now. What's important to understand is that you're owed a lot of money and that you have value. I am valuable. You are valued. I am valued. Hashtag I am valued. It's important to understand that these people want you to feel as though you're less of a person by saying, you know what, I'm going to give you less of a stimulus check than someone else. Or saying, I'm going to give you the same stimulus check I was promising you 6 months ago. I'm going to give you one now. Ultimately, you're owed a lot of stimulus. 6 months, $1,200, 6 months, $2,000 every month. That's a lot of money that you're owed. As we sit here in October, we're heading into Halloween. Everyone's trying to get in the mood of something. Let's get in the mood of some stimulus. Let's do it and let's find it. It's important to understand that there is an effort of this channel for everyone to help each other and that we're here to help each other. And we understand the time frame we're under, executive orders, now to election night. But then what about after election night? A lot of people have dropped the comments, well, I don't expect anything until after the election. What do you expect to happen after? What do you expect to have happen after election night? That's even a bigger question. It's very unclear what could happen after election night. If you tuned in to Pelosi versus Mnuchin, McConnell versus Trump, and also 28, I have been going over all the permutations today of whether the Senate goes Democrat, whether the Senate goes House, whether Trump contests the election, whether Trump doesn't contest the election. All these things literally lead you to almost 6 to 4 permutations about what could happen for your stimulus based upon the balance of power in Washington. It's not so clear. I'm here to figure it out for you. But the bottom line is you're valued. We're going to continue to stay positive. We're going to continue to stay motivated. And we're going to continue to get your stimulus checks. So go to the front of the channel, subscribe, because no one is more focused on getting you the money you're deserved than this family. We work together and we work as a team. Also like this video. Coming up next is Purple Power. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay of LA for more.